it is going to be, there's kind of two things that are going to be, I think, the themes on defense is how are we going to deal with Travis 87? And then is that defensive line going to have a repeat performance of last week? Are they able to, is Kenny Clark able to dominate the guard matchup? All right, I got 3 matchups. Here we go. Number 1, we don't know about Aaron Jones. You got an aggressive Chiefs box 7. How are the Packers going to create opportunities in the running game? Last week we rushed for, we rushed for something, but our running backs rushed for 3.2, 3.3 yards per carry again. Not good enough. Just not getting the job done in the running game. And that's not the offensive line. That's the offensive line. That's the tight ends. That's the wide receivers. And that's the running backs. Last couple of weeks, Jaden Reed has been producing on the jet sweeps, has been producing on the end around. So we can incorporate that, but that can't. So we can get yards out of that, but we can't sit here and say that's the way we're going to. That's our running game now, right? It's going to be a wet field on Sunday. There's going to be some weather in town. So it's a perfect scenario to really be able to establish that downhill running game. Footing's going to be an issue, although the Chiefs and the Packers are used to playing outside in bad weather. What are we going to fit the A.J. Dillon profile? I mean, for me, it's like, can we just get A.J. to the line of scrimmage without having to cut? Can we put in plays where he doesn't have to go downhill and stop and cut in the backfield? And whether that's by running gap schemes or whether that's by running we're going to only run like middle outside zone where we're planning that full speed cut downhill, that one cut go. But inside zone stuff, everyone go, oh, inside zone, inside zone. Well, if they keep penetrating at the line of scrimmage, and he's got a jump cut in the backfield, you think he's going to be great at going downhill, but that's also what you don't want him to do if he's got a jump cut in the backfield, because the start back up isn't quite what you want it to be as compared to like Aaron Jones. So how are you going to manufacture that running game? Kelsey versus who? Last week, Sam Laporta, he starts off really good last week, right? I think he caught the first pass. He had the first touchdown. He ends up with 5 catches, 47 yards, and that 1 TD. But the Lions are kind of throwing the ball over the yard trying to they got in a hole. So there's a little bit of that. But Kelsey he's got 70 receptions. They look like they found their second guy with Rashee Rice. It really is. We know MVS can play. We also know that he'll drop balls. So if they're going to catch the ball, what does that look like? Because you can't, your defense isn't going to be predicated on, like Joe Barry, say what you want about Joe Barry. He's not getting up there and going like, all right, guys, we're just planning them dropping about 5 passes this game in the end zone, and that's how we're going to win. Like that's not what's going to happen, right? So fundamental base question, do you double 47? When do you double 47? You're going to do it, but do you just do it in the red zone? When do you double them? And then do you have somebody that you trust to take away number 2? Who is is it Rashee Rice? Is he number 2? Do you take away number 2? Like if Alexander's healthy, is Alexander on 87? Because 87 is just going to play in the slot anyways, or he's going to spread out. Like he's not going to be tight end attached, blocking them. We don't care about that, right? But anytime he's not attached, are you just going to put your best guy on him? Or are you going to bracket him? Or are you just going to leave Valentine on there? What is the plan? Are we going to follow him with the safety? At the risk of him, you would almost rather have a 150-yard catch day. You have a receiving day, and nobody else eat, because that's good for 20 points, 17 points, 20 points. I mean, they've done that. We know what that looks like. Let him eat, fine. Or give him the opportunity. Give Mahomes the reason to throw him the ball only. They'll score a couple touchdowns. He'll have great numbers. They don't score a lot of points that way. The way they score a lot of points is get the running game going, get the ball tossed around the yard a little bit more. And then the third matchup, Packers pass rush and Chiefs offensive line. I think Preston Smith and Gary are playing high-level football. Both had great games last week. I know Gary's got the numbers, but you watch Preston, dominant performance in that game on a number of levels. I think we definitely have the advantage over Juwan Taylor and Donovan Smith. It's almost like you want to see guys. Sometimes you want to see guys get exposed. I think this is an opportunity to really have a hard look at I mean, these guys should get beat multiple times. I'll be shocked if as long as we can stay upright, that Rashawn and Preston are not breathing around Patrick Mahomes the back of his neck, 10 times this game, 8 times this game, like a substantial number. Not sacks, but I'm just in his business, forcing him out of the pocket, knocking him down. Because don't forget, like, he doesn't mind extended plays anyways. So just when you think the play's over, it's not over. You can just keep this thing rolling. But can they have another big week? Can Kenny Clark and that defensive tackle group who looked extremely good, Slayton, Wyatt, they looked good last week. Can you keep it up? This team interior is going to be better because both guards are healthy. Last week, both guards were injured, took advantage of it. Can you take advantage? Can you not take advantage of, but can you actually just sit there and defeat two guys at the guard position who are pretty good players? Now, you saw that 65 can get beat. He got beat a couple times in that game, but it's not like they're getting beat off the line of scrimmage, right? It's a slow burn. It's going to take a little bit of time. Can you force Mahomes away from the line of scrimmage when he throws the ball? Keys to victory. I'm going to do this fast and furious, all right? Number one, staying on schedule. Packers offense has to stay on schedule, third and manageable. Pressure from Steve Spagnuolo-led defense is kind of the name of the game. They want to get the ball in the quarterback's hands. They want to tackle in front of the sticks. They want to turn the ball back over to Patrick Mahomes. So can we get valuable first and second downs to get 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, run pass options, take away some of the pressure stuff, ID it, be on the same page, execute early in the downs so you can get a manageable third down. Number two, got to have a pass rush, man. Mahomes is one of the best in the business at extending plays, finding their receivers. We are up and down. We are hot and cold with pass rush integrity as far as our lanes. You cannot let him escape forward. He's got to be escaping away from the line of scrimmage. What's the plan to do that? Can we do that throughout the course of the game? Can we be disciplined? Because if you can, you're going to find a lot of success because you do not find on tape a lot of things where he's running away from the line of scrimmage and connecting dots down the field. And the third thing is between Jordan Love and these first and second year receivers and tight ends, pre-snap recognition. Pressure for a receiver means hot routes, single one-on-ones, and huge play opportunities. But you have to see it. You have to communicate it verbally and non-verbally. And you have to execute. So are you putting in the time this week in practice to make sure you are on the same page, you communicate with the intentions, and then we execute the right way, precise routes, man beaters, pressure beaters. Are we ready to go? You see a ton of it all over tape. There are opportunities for success, but you got to be able to see it. Got to be able to see it. We got a couple listener questions before we get out of here. Let me put them up real quick. First question, are the Packers any closer to developing an offensive identity after the last 4 games? I'd say after the last 2. I think Matt LaFleur and the offensive staff did by far their best performances of the season as far as putting players in position to make plays given their skill set, right? Really, really, really appreciated the way that they set up players to be successful, the way that they're using Jordan Love now, a little more under center play action, like simplifying the game, play action series. He's doing a better job pre-snap recognition. He's trying to make the gimmies. Now, the difference here is guys make contested catches, guys making plays. Can Jordan take the gimmies now? Can we throw the screen in a position to go forward? Can we connect on the arrow route? Can we get if we get the easy ones, right? That's 3, 4, 5, 6 more first downs in a game that translates into points. Number 2, do you think the Packers will prioritize taking Kelce out of the game? Well, listen, we just talked about it. It's almost like you live with Kelce and you prioritize taking everybody else out. Because I don't think Kelce's going to have a 4 touchdown performance. So it's certainly something you have to think about. You don't want anybody to feel like they're unstoppable. But I could make the argument that I treat Kelce like a good receiving tight end, but I'm not going to double him. I'm not going to do anything crazy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to prioritize taking everybody else out of the limelight. And if he gets hot and catches a couple of these routes and sustains route, like even with Patrick Mahomes, as great as he is, the percentages of playing the long field and having to go 80 yards and not making mistakes and not having a holding call or an offsides or two incomplete passes in a row, and then all of a sudden switching up your coverage, adding some pressure, maybe bracketing him. Like, you got to mix it up. But just summarily saying you're not doing with Bill Belichick what he did to Ocho Cinco that one year, and he just said, "Hey, I forgot what they called it. They called it like 0.85." But Bill goes up to Ocho Cinco and goes, "You're not catching the ball today. We're going to double you the whole game." He's like, "Well, are you serious?" Like, I'm dead serious. You're not coming in here and catching every pass. Like, I don't think you do that against the Travis Kelce and this offense where they're at right now. And this is a question about some specific guys on the offensive line, but it's just more of a general. Let's just make it. Why do offensive linemen improve or regress? And it was like, did you get the wrong guys? Is it the coaching? What is it? And I'm kind of reminded of what Tom Brady was just lamenting to Stephen A. Smith about. And I think he was listen, he said this a couple of years ago, like, the quality of play has gone down. Refs are the NFL is legislating bad play out of the game by, like, if you throw over the ball over the middle and Ray Lewis knocks you out, well, Tom Brady just wouldn't throw the ball over the middle. You can't do it. And now they're like, go ahead and throw it over the middle. If he knocks you out, then he's out of the game, and we're going to suspend him for 5 games or whatever it is. So they legislate all this bad play out instead of just saying, like, these guys have to be better. That's the point he was trying to make. I'm going to make it. I'll rephrase it and just say, you've taken away practice time. The other thing Tom said is, like, the level of coaching isn't what it used to be. And I've seen the spectrum of young coaches, older coaches, good coaches, bad coaches, personalities. Okay. There are only a handful of really, really good developmental coaches in the National Football League. And I know that sounds crazy, absolutely crazy. You think it's the pinnacle of everything from a football standpoint. But you've got a lot of guys that are in there, good scheme guys. Maybe they got in because they know somebody. Maybe they got in because they're good with computers. Maybe they got in because they had a technology that the team was interested in using. There's a number of reasons you get in. Good old boys club they always talk about. There's not a ton of guys that have a really, really fundamental understanding of, like, how the body works, how you're supposed to move, what position should you strike from if you're offensive lineman, for example. And so the same techniques that were being taught 40 years ago are still taught in large part by guys today. And you could say the same thing about, I can go to 4 different wide receiver coaches, and they might all show me 4 different ways to do a 3-step cut, or change direction. And I can go to 100 strength conditioning coaches, and they're going to show me the exact same way to change direction, right? Because there's, like, a movement way to do it, like a way that's the most efficient way to do it given our movement patterns. And then there's how people have been taught, and they just continue to do what they've been taught. So if a player isn't getting better, if they're regressing, I don't look at the coaches. I don't look at the organization. You can look at the offense a little bit. Like, if you're passing the ball 70 times a game and you're giving up a sack, it's like, well, you're passing the ball 70 times a game, the quarterback doesn't get rid of the ball. It's got to be a little bit, friendly, because that's a very difficult position to play. We're talking about offensive line specifically now. But if you're not getting better, my question to you is, like, what are you doing to get better? Are you breaking down your own performance? Are you going to somebody maybe who's another set of eyes and looking at this from a different perspective? Like, are you seeking out people in the off season that make you better? Like, there's all these things that you can do that, guys, like I did, guys do. I work with guys that do that now. And so if they're not getting better, it's never about, like, the team and the coaching staff, because, like, if you're the player, I can't control where I get drafted. I can't control who they have to coach me. I can only control how I deal with that information. If I'm not getting what I need, if I feel like I'm not playing better, then damn it, I'm going to find a way to play better. And that's where I think now, maybe it's because of it's been reframed about longevity and not performance, right? You get paid so much now. It's like, how long can I stay in this league versus, man, I just want to be the best guy I can be, right now. What can I do to be the best? That mindset shifted a little bit. And so when that shift occurs, I guess we stop worrying about, like, man, I gave up 10 sacks last year. If I give up 9 this year, that's going to be great. That's 10% less. And it's like, instead of like, dude, I don't want to give up any. It's like everything is kind of like the hurdle, that bar, I think for a lot of guys has kind of gone away or gone down just because we don't see it the same way. Oh, don't worry, we'll scheme it out of it. This, Coach LaFleur said it. Oh, there's nothing our scheme can't fix. It's like, well, tackling is something you can't fix. You got to fix it. But anyways, this is gonna be an interesting game. 6 points. 6 points in Lambeau's is just crazy to me. But I get it. I mean, they are the defending champs. Listen, if you're enjoying, please subscribe, rate, review, like us on our YouTube channel, Process to Perform. This is the On My Block podcast. You can find me, Mike Wall, MikeWall68 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. I should say X, but I'm going to say Twitter. Packers, 6 points. Dude, take the points. I'll see you guys.